Hello and namaskar and a very warm welcome to all the viewers in today's live and interactive session presented by CIET NCERT. My name is Rajan Rajput. Here on screen we are joined by sign language interpreter Ms. Sonal Sidhu. Sonal, wanna say warm welcome to you in this session. So, आप सभी को बताना चाहेंगे हमारे आज के सत्र में हम क्लास 8 स्टूडेंट्स के लिए साइंस का विषय प्रेजेंट करेंगे हाउ नेचर वर्क्स इन हार्मोनी. Without any further delay, we have some part of information for you. This is exam time for all students. Let's ignite the exam warriors in each one of us. As you all know that Paricharcha, an initiative of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, is being held every year. This year, the 9th edition is being organized for encouraging joyful learning and stress-free exams. For further details, please visit the website is on your screen. And let's celebrate Exam Utsav as Life Utsav. If you have any query or doubt regarding this topic we have introduced earlier, science subject and topic is how nature works in harmony. You can connect with us through various mediums, like you can make a call on our IVRS number that is flashing on your screen, and number is 8800440559. You can also write on mailbox, and ID is dth.class8@ciet.nic.in. And audience who are watching this session on NCERT official YouTube channel, so live chat box option is there to drop your comment and queries. Without any taking time, we are going to introduce you our expert Miss Priti Maan, joined from Bharati Public School, GRH Marg. Ma'am, namaskar. स्वागत करते हैं.
Thank you.
So ma'am, this is going to be very interesting, I'm sure. And what are the learning outcomes for today's session?
Okay, so this chapter basically deals with how the organisms are interacting in nature. So let it be humans or say the pets, the wild animals, even the smallest of insects. So we'll be covering the following topics in this chapter. So it goes with, first we'll talk about what is a habitat, what are the components of the habitat. Next is population, community and ecosystem. We'll understand what's the meaning of these three terms, how the organisms are interdependent in nature. We'll see that what makes them, what are the needs of different organisms due to which they are interdependent on one another. Further, we'll see that what are the types of interaction between the components of the environment which are present. Next, we have the difference between the food chain and food web. Why are they important in our ecosystem? And further, we'll check out on why it is really required to have a balance in the ecosystem, right? And what are the activities done by humans which one or the other way they are creating a sort of imbalance in nature. Right, so starting with first we saw that we'll be discussing about habitat.
Okay.
So what is habitat? So it's a place where an organism live. Like we live in our houses. Yes, if I talk of say lion live in the den, in the forest, right? Birds, they live on trees. Bees, they live in their beehives. So all the organisms, they have their home. And that home is called as habitat. Now further, habitat is having, or it depends on two factors, the biotic and abiotic factors.
Okay.
Right? So the biotic factors are all the living factors. So if we talk about humans, so human needs food, right? For our food needs, we are dependent on plants, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, humans need oxygen to breathe. So plants are the living factors, the biotic factors which are present in the environment, and animals are also biotic factors. If I talk of oxygen, sunlight that we are dependent on, they are the abiotic factors.
Okay.
Now moving ahead further, these three terms, this is very important: population, community and an ecosystem. So what do we understand by population, right? So population is what? It is a group of organisms of the same species living in a given area at a given time, right?
Right.
So group of organism, that too of same species. Like, now if we talk of humans, so we are a population. If I talk of dogs living in a specific area, so that's their population, right? Even crops. So wheat grown in a particular field at a given point of time. So that is the population of wheat plants, right? Secondly, community. Now different population living together in the same habitat. Now if I talk about land, so over land, right, humans are also living. Then we have different plants varieties also. Then we have certain animals like cow, dogs, cats, buffaloes. Now different populations are living together. They make a community, right?
Right.
Further moving ahead, the ecosystem. So the interaction between the biotic and abiotic components in an area. Like I said, we are living, right? For our living, what is required? We need the living factors also, and we need the non-living factors also. If we talk of biotic factors, so we are dependent on plants, we are dependent on animals. Abiotic factors, we are dependent on oxygen to breathe, right? Sunlight to maintain the temperature,
Right.
right? Next is, now ecosystems, they can be further classified as terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. Now forest, grassland, deserts and farm, all of these are present on the land, so they forms the terrestrial ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem is what? Pond, rivers, lakes, oceans, right?
So,
and as
Ma'am, are they each related? They related to each other?
yes, they are related to each other, right? If I talk of ecosystems also, or if I talk of any organism, they are interdependent, right? So this interdependence is there. Why? Because an organism cannot live on its own, right? It needs certain assistance from the nature to live, right? So like we see here on the slide, so organism, it depends on the abiotic factors. We need air, we need water, we need shelter and nutrients to survive. Further, one organism depends on another organism for food, for reproduction and for protection, right? So even small of change in an ecosystem, it can affect the entire ecosystem. So we'll have a look of this miniature ecosystem. This is the aquatic ecosystem, right? Now what do we see over here? We have water, there are animals present, so a turtle is there, fishes are also present, there's a starfish, there's a crab, right? All these are animals. We do see the plants. Okay, now if I talk, so these animals, they are dependent on some other animals for their food need, like bigger fishes, they eat the small fishes, right? Turtle also, it feeds on certain things. Crabs, they also feed on certain animals, right? Some of them, they eat the plants which are present inside the ecosystem, right? So there is an interdependence. Each organism is dependent on the another organism for its survival, right?
Right.
And if any of those goes missing, then what will happen? It will create complete disturbance in the ecosystem. Now further moving ahead, we'll see that what are the different types of interaction, right? We told that that every organism is dependent on some other organism for fulfilling the needs, right? So how are these interactions seen? So the very first interaction is what? It's a biotic abiotic interaction. Simplest of example is plants. Now we say that plants are producers, they prepare food for every other living organism which is there on the planet, right?
Yes.
So that plant also uses what? It uses water and sunlight to prepare food. Now plants, they are the living organisms, they are the biotic factors. Now they are dependent on carbon dioxide and sunlight to complete the process of photosynthesis and prepare the food. So this is what sort of interaction? Biotic
and
abiotic. Now further we see biotic interaction. Now in this we have multiple types, like how one organism is dependent on the another organism, right? So the first one is where both the organism gets benefited, like bee and a flower. So what happens? Bee takes nectar, right?
Right.
At the same time, for flower, why is bee important? Because it carries the pollen grains, which
Right.
further helps in pollination, right? Second one is one organism get benefited, the another remains unaffected, right?
Right.
The third one is one is benefited and the other gets harmed, like ticks on dog, right?
Right.
So ticks, what they get from dog, they get their food, they get their shelter, but are they of any use for the dog? No, they are parasites. One more example we have cascata, the green slender like structures that we often see on trees. So what it does, it keeps on growing, right? And the plant it grows on, it takes off all the nutrients and in turn the host plant it dies. Okay, so this is the interaction wherein two biotic components are interacting with each other. Either they both get benefited or one of the organisms get benefited, or the one is getting benefited and the another remains unaffected. The third type of interaction comes where the competition occurs between the organism. Now, see, every other organism needs food.
Yes.
That's the basic requirement, right? So, competition occurs between the same species for food, for space, for water. So, that's the reason why we say that you should not plant the huge trees nearby. They need to be having certain gaps. Why? Because if they are planted nearby, they'll start to compete with each other, right? And if competition occurs between the plants, they won't be growing the way they grow in normal conditions, right? So these are the different types of interaction, how one organism interacts with another organism for fulfilling the basic needs, right? Now further moving that, now we have this information that yes, they are interdependent, but how exactly the whole cycle goes on, like who eats who. So we have seen that plants, they are classified as what? They are classified as producers. Right? Plants are the producers because they are preparing their own food and also food for the other organism. Now what happens further? Producers are being consumed by primary consumers or herbivores. Herbivores are the organisms which eat plants. Further, these herbivores are consumed by the secondary consumers, which can be carnivores or omnivores. Carnivores, they are the flesh eating animals, right? And omnivores are the ones that eat plants also, or that depends on flesh also. Now what happens at the end of this chain? There are decomposers present. So what these decomposers do? Every organism, let it be plant or animal, what happens to them? They die, right?
Right.
When they die, so decomposers are basically bacteria and fungus. So with the help of decomposers, the body decomposes and everything, every nutrient, it get back to the soil. And from the soil, again the cycle starts. From the soil, producers takes the nutrient and the cycle goes on. Okay, so this is the beautiful way of nature to balance.
So ma'am,
everything.
here I have one more interesting question. Why are these ecosystem is beneficial for us?
Alright, so ecosystems are beneficial for us because of the interdependence that they are having, right?
Right.
So what is that interdependence? We'll see here. So we have talked of food chain and food web, right? So this single chain, if we talk of this single flow, this is food chain, and different food chains combining together, it makes a food web. Food web will be having many ecosystems present in it. It could be land, terrestrial ecosystem or the aquatic ecosystem, right? So what are the benefits? How do they benefit each other, or how the individual organism gets benefited, right? The organism, it gets clean air and water. They get food, medicine, soil fertility gets maintained. Why? Because decomposers, when they are decomposing any of the organisms, right, what they are maintaining in the soil, they maintain the nutrients. Further, the climate remains regulated when the biotic and abiotic factors remain intact. So what happens? The climate, the ultimate surroundings, they are in regulation, they are in control. But the ecosystem, they are also getting harmed because of certain human activities. So that causes imbalance in ecosystem. So we have said that ecosystem is not certain which is fixed, right? Ecosystem is dynamic. Now being dynamic, what happens? The factors, they keeps on changing. But the additional human activities like deforestation, so what happens if we cut down the trees, okay, the absorption of carbon dioxide from the air, it will reduce, and the production of oxygen gas will also get reduced, right? So these two gases are really important for plants and for us. So once there is imbalance in it, automatically the biotic factors will get affected. Pollution, when it increases, see, plants also have certain capacity to hold up to the pollution, but once the pollution is increasing, right, so what will happen? Even the population which is there, see, if I talk of our city, so in winters we have that smog. So what is that? It is a kind of pollution only. So it harms us also, it even harms the other organisms which are there in our nearby vicinity. Next one is overuse of resources. Right now, when the resources which are available, when they are overused, what will happen? Ultimately, they get finished. And if that is happening, we'll search for more resources, and that keeps on happening, the nature gets disturbed. So what exactly we are doing? We are causing destruction in the habitat. We are causing imbalance in the nature by doing certain activities. So one of the case studies of Sundarban is there. So this is one of the threatened ecosystem. So why Sundarbans are important? Because they have these mangroves present over there. That's the largest mangrove ecosystem in the world, right? You see the picture over here. So that is the picture taken of those mangroves present, right? What do? They protect that coastal area from storms and flood. But now this specified ecosystem, it is also in danger because of the deforestation that is being occurred, the pollution and the over exploitation of the resources.
So ma'am, are there any solution to improve the ecosystem?
Yes, there are. So when the destructions are being caused by certain human activities, so what we can do? We can find for some alternatives, right? Like for example, we can make certain parks, so wherein the management is being done so that the ultimate ecosystem is protected. Further, what we can do, we can avoid overuse of fertilizers and pesticides because that harms the soil. Once the soil is getting polluted, you see that nutrients or say that pollutants will go to plants. From plants, it will come in the food chain. So we have even seen that in news that microplastics are there in the food chain. From where they have come? They came from the ocean, because majorly all the garbage is going where? It is going to the oceans, right? So what it is doing, it is causing pollution, fine, and that pollution, that pollutant has turned, it came into our ecosystem. Further, if we see what we can do, we can use sustainable and organic farming, which helps protect soil health and biodiversity. So if certain things are happening because of our activities, so that needs to be balanced using some other activities, and that is what is the need of an hour, because nature know how to balance itself, right?
Right.
We can only help because we are the part, we are the factors which are there in the ecosystem, one of the majorly important factors of the ecosystem. So we can contribute our efforts to make the ecosystem better.
So what a wonderful quote on your screen.
Yes, it is there. Nature works in harmony through interconnected relationships amongst living and non-living components, and disturbing one part affects the whole system. That's why I said our role is important.
That's wonderful, ma'am, and you are absolutely right. Our role is important. We are with ma'am Miss Priti Maan from Bharati Public School, GRH Marg. मैम, इस बेहतरीन सेशन के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहते हैं. थैंक यू सो मच मैम. हमारे साथ जुड़े हमारे सभी दर्शकों को बता दें कि परीक्षा पे चर्चा के नवे संस्करण जो कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी द्वारा हर वर्ष आयोजित किया जाता है, इस वर्ष भी आयोजन इसका किया जा रहा है. आप अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपनी स्क्रीन पर दिखाई गई साइट पर ज़रूर विज़िट करें. आइए परीक्षा उत्सव को जीवन उत्सव की तरह मनाएं. अगला सत्र आप देखेंगे, आइए शेड्यूल पर एक बारी आप सभी को बताते हैं. हम अगला सत्र जो आपके लिए प्रस्तुत करेंगे वो मैथमेटिक्स का होगा. हम जानेंगे टॉपिक प्रोपोर्शनल रीजनिंग पार्ट 2 को. चैनल नंबर 6 से चैनल नंबर 12 तक आप सभी ऑनलाइन ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम देखेंगे. 4 से 5 विषय है कृत्रिम बुद्धिमत्ता, AI का शैक्षणिक एकीकरण, प्रभावी कक्षा कार्यान्वयन हेतु रणनीतियाँ. 5 बजे का सहयोग सत्र आपके लिए बेहतरीन जानकारी लेकर आएगा. हमारे साथ इस पूरे सत्र को इंटरप्रेट करने के लिए मिस सोनल आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करते हैं. मैं सृजन राजपूत हूँ. समय है कि आप सभी से अनुमति ली जाए. नमस्कार.